Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today on self-care essentials. You know, so many of us spend so much of our time caring for others, doing for others, sometimes to the point of burnout. And yet the idea of me time makes us feel guilty. Well, I want to remind all of us that you can't get water from an empty vessel. And so with that in mind, I'd like to give you a number of suggestions which you can select from in a toolbox, if you will, and make use of that really can help to strengthen and sustain you through a year. So let's begin. My name is Rosemary Nichols, and I'm a health educator for Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. In addition, I'm an assistant professor at Lesley University in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where I teach a variety of health and nutrition related courses. And so I, for one, know the importance of all of these tools, and I'm going to suggest that you pick and choose. Which do you need? I want to remind you that self-care is not self-indulgence. It really means taking care of yourself so that you can be really emotionally as well as physically healthy. You can do your best at work, but also while you're caring for others, doing for others, whether they're your children, your partner, your elderly parents. And in addition, that you can do everything that you need to do or want to do throughout the day. So there are many self-care essentials in your toolbox or your toolkit. You need to choose. So let's start with some of the physical things we can do. Oh, getting outside and moving. Well, we know that regular exercise, particularly we get out in the sunshine a little bit, at least 30 minutes a day can help to release endorphins, those feel-good hormones that boost our mood. And while you're at it, walking, have you thought about doing some meditative walking, where as you walk, you let your focus be the rhythm of your gait? So it's like a mantra. It's that rhythm of the gait is like a mantra while you're walking. Or, staying in the moment. Mindfulness, focus your attention on the physical sensations in your body, whether it's your respiration, or if it's a vigorous, fairly vigorous workout that gets get the heart rate up there, you're aware of your heart beating, or maybe just the swinging of your arms. This is a great way to eliminate those catecholamines, the stress hormones. Remember, they're designed for us to do something, for fight or flight. And those build up in the body. We want to eliminate them because they're not helpful for us, not only mentally, but physically. Regular exercise, we know, can help to lower depression. The studies show us that. And when we feel stronger, when we feel more flexible, when we can maybe do something like walking further, it can help to increase our self-confidence and our self-esteem. And if we're doing it with a pal, with a partner, with another individual, we can make connections at the same time. We're going to talk about having support. It's a good way to engage with others, that we get to develop meaningful relationships where we can be supportive of them and they in turn can be supportive of others. And we know exercise, moderate exercise on a regular basis, particularly if you get outside, can help you to improve your sleep. And speaking of sleep, many of us are getting less than 7 hours a night. And so we need to prioritize that sleep. Sleep deprivation and stress and mood disorders are all closely linked. And think about it, when you are sleep deprived, when you don't sleep, you're more irritable the next day. You find it more difficult to deal with the stressors of the next day, let alone have good focus, or memory. And when you get adequate sleep, it can enhance your problem solving. So on a number of levels, that's important. The problem solving is one of the things that we need to better help us cope with our stressors, right? And this enables us to do that. So prioritize your sleep. Maybe try progressive muscle relaxation where you tighten your muscles and you relax them, the muscle groups in a particular order, or guided imagery where, for example, you're at the ocean or you're taking a canoe down the river. There are a number of audio recordings that are available actually on the internet. And I'm giving you a URL here that I really like, www.healthguide.org. You just have to kind of, cruise around there and you'll find some audios that are available for a number of types of meditation. You ever think about your diet as being important to your mood? Well, it is. A balanced diet and plenty of water, having at least 9 cups of water a day or fluids for women and at least 11 for men, can improve your energy and your focus. That can help you to some degree to reduce your stress. And, think about the amount of caffeine that you consume. It can contribute to the duration and the magnitude of stress hormone responses. We know that caffeine has a half-life of 5 or 6 hours. So when you have caffeine at approximately 7 at night with dinner, half of it is in your system 6 hours later, so 1 in the morning. And that attaches to receptors in the brain that are going to affect your sleep. And when you're sleep deprived, it can exacerbate anxiety. It can be a negative for your mood. It can contribute to depression in certain individuals and make it harder for us to deal with the stressors the next day. And and there are some people who really show their anger when they're sleep deprived. So watch the caffeine, whether it's coffee or other caffeinated drinks. And get away from the computer if you can, if you work at a computer. Try eating your lunch somewhere pleasant. And, even when you're eating your meals, try to make the experience a pleasant one and not get into arguments or discussions that are going to, create conflict. But if you can get out in green space, if there's a green space, if there's a little bit of grass and a picnic table where you work, for example, get out there and do some mindful eating. Bring your attention to your food by using your senses. Not only does that help your digestion, it can help to reduce your stress. What does the food taste like? What's its texture? If you're eating a sandwich or a piece of fruit, what does it feel like? What does the, fresh bread smell like? You use your nose and sometimes even your ears. Is the salad crunchy, for example? Or is the apple crunchy? Make note of that. And be sure you sit and chew your food slowly. Make it almost a meditative experience. Seek support. I always say, who do you have that watches your back? What people in your life make up your support system? Are they friends, family? Are these individuals who accept you as you are rather than judge you? Are they non-toxic? Toxic people are those people that make you feel bad about yourself. Whether it's your weight or the way you dress or where you work, whatever. We want people that can be critical of us in a constructive fashion, yes, but not make us feel bad about ourselves all the time. We all know those kinds of people. Do you need more support? Be more proactive. How do we do that? Well, use technology. With Zoom, I can have a cup of coffee over Zoom with a family member who lives several hundred miles away. Or now we have these telemed visits with psychologists if we need them, right? We can do FaceTime with family and friends. We've had so much isolation over the last few years during the pandemic. Follow your interests. You like to read? You have time to join a book club. Or perhaps you want to get some exercise in and enjoy nature. Get out and join a hiking club. Yoga and Tai Chi often have that meditative quality built into them. So you get the meditation, but those are also opportunities to build a new social network. And be altruistic. Try volunteering, helping others. It increases self-esteem and self-confidence, particularly if you feel you need to build that a little bit. It can be a great distraction. We are less likely to be focused on our own problems when we're helping others. And we get to know other people, other volunteers, and we can build a community for ourselves. And this is a good way to gain new supports. Connect to a greater meaning and purpose in life. Purpose in life is probably as important as diet or exercise or anything else when it comes to longevity, according to experts in the field of health. So you need to be aware of what's important and what you don't need to waste your time and what is less important. Have you ever thought about what your core values are? Your core values are what give you meaning and purpose, and they can help you to move forward, especially in times when it's moving forward may be difficult. What are your core values? And if we're not in alignment with our values, we're not going to be happy. There's going to be a disconnect. And are you connected with people in a meaningful way? That is so important. It's not about how many likes you get on TikTok. But for example, when Tom Hanks was preparing to play Mr. Rogers in the movie, and he spoke to people who knew Mr. Rogers, each of them said to him, when I spoke with him, he made me feel like I was the most important person in the world. He was a great listener. He was an active listener. He didn't just hear them. If you're an active listener, if you are empathetic, this is what we mean by having meaningful relationships with other people, having those meaningful connections. Or are you guided by God or higher power? If you're part of an organized religion, this certainly gives meaning and purpose. And many people feel they have that sense of community. But remember, one size doesn't need to fit all. What works for you? And having that meaning and purpose means you're going to be less distracted by potential stressors. What about your own quiet space? Are you nurtured by nature? Maybe you've got a great little yard, with flowers and trees and green grass. Maybe you're close to the woods where you can go for a hike. Or a local park. Perhaps the park is near work. There's a lot of research around green spaces today and how they can help to lower stress and improve our mood. And even give us a sense of belonging to the wider world, which we really tended to miss out on, didn't we? In the midst of the pandemic, there was so much isolation, and think of the stress and the problems with the mental health of people as a result of that. And now there's a research going on blue spaces, such as rivers or oceans, and how they help to nurture us and, help us reduce our stress and improve our mood. Is your bedroom your sanctuary? Make it your quiet space. When we talk about sleep and the importance of sleep, we tell people get rid of the clutter. I mean, there are other things like temperature and, the make sure the room is not too bright when you're trying to sleep, but get rid of distractions. Find a few things that you love and decorate. They don't have to be expensive. And set boundaries. When you close the door, no one just walks in, whether it's your kids, your spouse, whatever. Maybe you take the time to read a book for a short 10, 15 minutes, that's inspirational, like that by the Dalai Lama. Or you do a little yoga, or you're going to meditate. So setting boundaries is important. And when I think about meditation, I think of kindness meditation. For your mantra, over 5 to 7 minutes, repeat to yourself, may I be happy, may I be well, may I be safe, may I be peaceful and at ease. That's called kindness meditation. You can even extend that and think about a person who's near and dear to you, a person you love. And instead of I, it's he or she or they. May they be happy. May he be well. May she be safe, and so forth. And make that your meditation. Engage in mindfulness. I love this little image on the left of the screen that really focuses on being present in the moment and enjoying the moment. So when you're out for a walk, are you focusing on the trees and the sunshine and the flowers, or do you have a head full of, car payments and relationship problems and money owed? That's not being mindful, but rather focusing on the moment and being non-judgmental. Practice using mindful to stay in the present moment. And again, use those blue spaces. Good place to contemplate, to meditate. Mindfulness, we use it as a form of meditation. Just staying in the moment and avoiding temporarily the woulda, coulda, shouldas if we're one of those folks. Are you optimistic? You see the glass is half full or half empty. Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania is the father of positive psychology. And he wrote a book called Learned Optimism in 2006, and it's still available. And it's one I always love to recommend. He said, I am a pessimist who learned how to be an optimist. So you can work on your optimism. You might spend some time, as I mentioned, reading for inspiration. But every day, do you either review in your head or do you write down 3 things in your life for which you're grateful? Whether it's your family, your job, your health, whatever. Your ability to learn new things, your patience with your children. How about focusing on what's going well? And the thing can be ever so small. Maybe you're taking a course. Maybe you feel good about something you learned, something new that you learned how to do on the computer. Or just the feeling that you got by extending a kindness to someone else, and that felt like that's something that went well. And be compassionate. You may be compassionate to others, and we hope that you are. But how about self-compassion? Accept yourself for who you are. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. Don't focus so much on the weaknesses, but celebrate your strengths. That can help you see the glass as half full. Do you use positive affirmations? In this case, on optimism, I face this challenge with strength, and I know that I will get through this. Use it as your mantra, repeat it. And there's some, science behind this. Researchers have found that if you use positive affirmations, whether it's around body weight or body image, or trying to avoid being that same old procrastinator, that if we repeat things to ourselves, they become part of our being. We get to believe them. They help us move forward. They help us be optimistic. Have you heard of emotional intelligence? Psychologists focus on this. It's a big thing in leadership. It's important leadership quality. It's really the ability to manage your emotions in a positive way. You reduce your own stress and you communicate effectively. So when you're in a difficult situation, pause and collect yourself before you make a comment. And think about it. Is your emotional response and the actions that are going to come out of that, do they match the circumstances? Do you really need to be angry at this point? And even if your anger is valid, how will you act on that? Think about the situation. Does it warrant the response or the action? And finally, will your reaction help or hurt the situation? Are you going to avoid the conflict? Are you trying to problem solve? Or are you trying to make the other person put them down so that they get defensive and the situation escalates? You can go online and find a great deal of information on emotional intelligence and suggestions. And there are many good books out there today. And some of us are the woulda, coulda, shoulda persons. We ruminate. We dwell on negative events. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. I looked so stupid. Are you realistic about your expectations? And sometimes, would you have done a better job on something or said something that sounded better if you had the right tools? And if someone who's near and dear to you were telling you about their woulda, coulda, shouldas, what would your advice be to them? And take that advice. Don't be so hard on yourself. And next time, if you have the right tools, maybe you will handle that differently. There's a difference between ruminating, which is dwelling over and over in your head, everything. Oh my goodness, that takes up a lot of energy, very stressful, and problem solving, where you really try to resolve the issue. You're not resolving the issue here. That's what you need to do. And get in the habit of laughing at yourself. We all make mistakes, right? You laugh at others, you can't believe they did something. Try doing the same thing for yourself. Take yourself a little less seriously on occasion. Sometimes we can't control things, and we need to focus on acceptance and basically use coping skills, right? It might be an illness or the loss of a loved one, or perhaps the loss of a job. Excuse me. Meditation works here, yoga, Tai Chi. What we're trying to do is mitigate the stress. Try writing in a journal. It's cathartic. And as we read it, it can help us gain a new perspective on things. Just like these positive affirmations do. For example, repeating to yourself, being unemployed temporarily doesn't diminish my value. Yes, you do the problem solving, what goes up on the drawing board with regards to finding a new job, for example. But in the meantime, you're unemployed and it doesn't diminish your value. Repeat it to yourself. Or I let go of my sorrow, but hold on to my love for my loved one. We can't do anything about the loss of a loved one. We're grieving. And by the way, remember, sometimes in these situations or in others, getting the help of a trained therapist is one of the right steps that we need to engage in. How about distraction? Engaging in distraction activities. And there's a number of them until we're better able to cope. I call this the Scarlett O'Hara approach. If you ever saw Gone with the Wind, I'll think about that tomorrow. Call a friend, but don't complain about what's distressing you. Or maybe, working on a model airplane or doing a puzzle, listening to music. Some people like to do that, or just watching something funny. These are great ways to distract ourselves. And when you're sitting at your computer and you need to give yourself that break, things are stressful. This is a great little distraction technique, focusing on your senses. So you start by looking around and noting 5 things that you can see. Maybe it's the pencils on your desk, right? Or your computer keyboard. 4 things that you can feel. Maybe it's the roof of your mouth. Maybe it's the texture of the clothing that you have on. 3 things that you can hear. Maybe it's others talking in the background. Or the sound of the heating or the air conditioning. 2 things that you can smell. Maybe you wear a cologne. And 1 thing that you can taste. And if you feel like you can't taste anything right now, think about something sumptuous that you like to eat and imagine the taste of it. I want to remind you that you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't get water from an empty vessel. You have to take care of yourself first before you can care for others. So it's got to be a priority. You don't need to do all of these things all at once, but select a couple and get started. And since we're creatures of habit, if you haven't been doing any of this, set up a schedule. You can go online and learn how to establish or create SMART goals. That really help you to reach your goal. Or, set a reminder alarm for yourself. Many people set a reminder alarm, for example, to break away from the computer and get up and stretch their legs at least every 20 minutes to half hour, which is important. Do the same thing here. Here are a number of resources. Looks like there are a lot of them, but there are a lot of good resources out there. The NIH has some wonderful information on emotional wellness. I mentioned Martin Seligman's book on learned optimism. And then down near the bottom, you see the helpguide.org. And that's where you can, for free, listen to those audio, different kinds of meditation, either muscle relaxation, guided imagery, breathing. You just have to kind of look around the website. So there are a number of things there. So I want to thank you. This was a quick half hour. And what I want to do right now is open it up to any comments. Maybe there's something that you do that I haven't mentioned. Or you want to share something with us, or perhaps I'll ask a question. So let's give you a minute or two to do that. So we have a question, the name of the author again, and if you look at the bottom of the resources, Martin Seligman, father of positive psychology. You can catch him on a number of YouTube videos, by the way. And I think it was his first book, or one of his first well-known books, is called Learned Optimism. It's an old book, how to change your mind in your life. And he said himself, I am a pessimist who learned how to be an optimist. Anything else? Any comments, suggestions, perhaps to others in the group today? See if there's anything in the chat. I don't see anything. So we're at the end, and I want to thank you for joining us today. And I hope we've given you something to think about, something that can help, that you can select from to recharge you, and something that you can use to take care of yourself so you can be all that you want to be, and also help others that you love and are near and dear to you. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.